You're watching the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. From Birmingham, Alabama, championship rivalry prepared Southern style. It's Birmingham Legion set to welcome the Charleston Battery. It's a big game approaching the midway point of the championship season. Take a look at the standings. You'll see Louisville leading the way in the Shield race, 3 points ahead of Charleston, tonight being the Battery's game in hand. Birmingham has already made a coaching change this year, and yet just 2 points off the 8th and final playoff position. And good evening, everyone. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand, and this, on paper, has a ton of talent in it, a great rivalry as well. And yet, Devin, at this point in the season, a lot of similarities but unique challenges.
Usually the conversations that come along with it are about fine-tuning the little details to make that deep playoff run, right? But we're not there right now for these two. Instead, we're talking about change. Ironically, by design and necessity, but need for the Charleston Battery, because defensively, they just haven't been good enough, plain and simple. I mentioned the irony within that. They went 10 games unbeaten without the Twin Towers, Leland Archer and Graham Smith. But what you gain from them is physical strength, compatibility, and leadership. That's probably the most important thing. The ability to eliminate the attacking threats coming their way. They actually have the 7th best goals against average in the league. But this argument isn't about quantity, it's about frequency. Just 2 clean sheets on the season, 3rd lowest in the championship.
Smith, the reigning defender of the year, finally 90-minute fit, while Archer is out, excused absence tonight. Meanwhile, Dev, let's look at Birmingham. New coach, new philosophy. Let's go ahead of the curve.
The new ideas had to be defensively, though. Times opponent come forward facing. That causes recovery defending, Mike, which is nightmare for a defender. You're going the wrong way, you're chasing the game. Now, let's fast forward to the first shutout in almost 12 months of play. It's against his old club, Sacramento Republic. But watch the defenders, more tight-knit in nature, the ability to challenge those small channels that are available, and most importantly, personnel. They were winning the personnel advantage, 3v2s, 2v1s, to be able to go and attack to thwart off those attacking movements coming forward. But we're in America. Let the numbers speak for themselves. Statistically, it tells you that it is getting better, though they can't rely on their defensive escapades. This has to be about balance on the attacking side. 13 goals for in the championship. That's 4th worst. They got to turn the heat up on the attacking side now.
It is Briggs' 11th game in charge, and his Legion are still beneath the playoff line. Attacking talent galore on display tonight at Protective Stadium in Birmingham. It's a battle at the playoff line and for the Shield. It's the Battery and the Legion next on CBS Sports. watching the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. Here they come onto the field at Protective Stadium. Birmingham Legion beneath the playoff line against the title-contending Charleston Battery. With Dev and Mike Watts, here's a look at the Birmingham starting lineup, and they made some adjustments here, Dev.
Van Oekel back in goal, understanding that fourth best all time when it comes to shutout. He controls this thing defensively that has actually become quite stout. Fanuel Kavita, now 250 regular season appearances, 15th in USL Championship history, but it's going forward now. It's maintaining the same structure on the back line, Mike, as they move 40 yards within. Too individualized an effort. This has to be more of a group outing. Ben Pierman and the Charleston Battery, they too make some changes coming off of Jaeger Cup. Zamudio back in goal, Apanodu onto the back line. Again, Leland Archer unavailable for selection, but that is a personal issue that was approved ahead of season. This is about control and balance. Control, they're one of the best in the league. Balance, though, is what they're looking at. Not right side dominant, allowing them to carry tempo on both sides of the ball, both sides of the field to exploit their opponent.
There is Cal Jennings, one of the best scorers in the championship over the last few years. 11 goals, 5 of which have come from the penalty spot this year. Birmingham gets the first touch, and here we go from Protective Stadium in Alabama. It's the Legion playing host to the Charleston Battery. Tipped ahead by Pasher. Came out to Landry. Dos Santos. Matt Thompson, our referee here tonight. Comes back to Kavita. Moves into 15th place by his lonesome in league history and appearances. His 250th here tonight. Dos Santos. Thomas offers pressure. Awkward touch out from Apanonu. Enzo Martinez. Slips out, Danny Trejo. Whipped across, met by Blackstock. Mensah. Birmingham says this is like preseason, in-season, total culture shift. Their last league game, a loss to Oakland. Conceded a penalty 10 minutes out of halftime. Their last game, arguably the best they've had under Mark Briggs. A 1-1 draw in the Jägermeister Cup. Ultimately fell in penalties against Indy 11.
What's the old adage that offense wins games and defense wins championships? Well, the good news for Mark Briggs is that defensively, they've really shored some things up. Squad selection more regular. They're getting health back. And for about 60% of the field, they do a really good job of controlling the overall game plan. But right now, it's offense. They got to win some games. They got to start to move themselves up the Eastern Conference table. Good news in the night, just 1 point off of that playoff line. Bad news is the goals haven't come aplenty. There's still a ton of talent up there, though. Tyler Pasher, his ability to play in behind. Ronaldo Dames scores at a quality goals per game average. And then Danny Trejo, one of the most electrifying in the championship just 2 short seasons ago. But now it's about trying to get all those guys on the same page, Mike.
Is that the French pronunciation of adage?
Yeah.
My Ohio is showing.
I told you that Bumble was my gift in the offseason. Didn't use it.
Okay. There's Mark Briggs, former Sacramento Republic head coach. His 11th game at the helm for the Legion was named on April the 30th, shortly after Tommy Sohn's 6+ year stint as the manager, all the way from the expansion season until the early months this year concluded. You talk to Ben Pierman, he goes, you know exactly what you're going to see when you go against a Mark Briggs team. You're going to see structure, everyone's going to know what they're doing, and he's trying to get this team bought in as a unit moving forward.
Just discuss the front three and Ronaldo Dames, Danny Trejo, and Tyler Pasher. When you look underneath them, the identity of the team starting to set a much better foundation, where over the years under Tom Sohn, though certainly they found success, it was intermittent and they changed a lot. not just systematically, but the way that they were going about their business on the field. Did they want to be a defensive team? Were they going to try and open it up a little bit? And within that became an identity crisis for guys like Enzo Martinez within the midfield. Certainly Moses Mensah on the back line. How aggressive did you want him to be? What was the control going to look like for Fanuel Cavita, especially after the departure of Alex Cronali, his longtime partner? And that center back four now over employing his trade with San Antonio.
This will roll through Thomas. Well, those are the runs that you want to see, not quite the service that was needed. Thomas, twice a winner in the championship. Colorado Springs last year, Orange County in 2021. Actually came out for a Dos Santos throw. Good work by Enzo Martinez. Enzo, slide square, clipped into the stands. Moses Mensah, who was twice named a top 5 prospect in League Two, won the title in the 4th division with Des Moines Menace. All the while, Devin, Charleston, same beast with tweaks. This is a group that's only 3 points off Louisville. They look every bit the side capable of winning the East, and yet you do see evolution in this group. There's Martinez.
Evolution, one of them, and also discontent, both from the manager as well as the players on the field that haven't fully tapped their potential. Goals don't seem to be an issue. They come at a premium almost every single game. But within that, it actually reminds me a little bit, Mike, you talked about Louisville. It reminds me of the Louisville season they had last year where they could score at will. Ben Pierman says that's not a problem for them either. Once again, one of the best attacking teams in the league. Danny Cruz had a conversation with us earlier this year that they had to change coming into this season. Similarly, they didn't want to win 5-2, 6-4. The identity of this Charleston Battery team reminds me of them a little bit. They don't concede as much in that conversation this year, but they have trouble keeping the ball out of the back of the net. These games have to become a little bit more tight-knit defensively.
Ball over, Matty Casa. Can do much more with it.
You can batter an opponent for 4 or 5 goals, that's fine. But it can't be these 2-1s, 3-2s where the margins are much more narrow in nature, because postseason time, that's when you get yourself into trouble.
And that's how Rhode Island rumbled their way through the Eastern Conference into the championship final a year ago. Show off your team pride in style with official merch from shopusl.com. Check out brand new tees, hoodies, novelty items, and more of your favorite USL team at shopusl.com by scanning the QR code now. The Kickers did that logo right. I'm just saying. That was all wrong. Edwin Lazo. They love the physicality, size he brought their midfield when they brought him in from Tulsa a couple months ago.
I'm with all of that, but with it for me comes ground coverage, his ability to release some of the players around him. You know, the success of Mark Briggs' system, Mike, is usually predicated about movement, right? Freedom within a player's role, and so you get a guy paired next to him, and Enzo Martinez, who certainly will play deep. They'll try and control things side to side, but as you let him chase the game a little bit, also gives you the ability to still maintain that defensive structure underneath we talk about and go hunt the game the other way.
Somewhere, there he is, Matt Van Oekel, the 38-year-old 7th-year goalkeeper with the club from the beginning. Defends a set piece here from the Battery. Torres with a deflection that found its way into Van Oekel. Steered it back into the width. Blackstock. And Arturo Rodriguez drops back. Landry. Good spin, Juan David Torres. Torres sent it wide. There's not many players from that range that put you on the edge of your seat. Juan David is one of them.
Well, he's certainly not afraid to do it. What's interesting about him is that, for me, it is certainly a frequency thing. When it comes to Juan David Torres, a great stat pulled up by our front office guru, Nicholas Murray. 75% of his shots come from outside of the penalty area. 64 on the year, 48 are 18 yards and out.
You know, most players, you'd say, why are you shooting 70? He's the J.J. Redick of USL Championship.
Sure.
Take 75% of your shots from beyond the arc. Go for it.
When you're scoring Olympicos and worldies from 30 yards out off a dead ball, it's hard to argue.
That checked up on the turf quite a bit. Trejo commits the foul. 19 goals in 2023 at Phoenix. Went overseas to Poland over the most recent offseason. Also, Trejo discombobulated. Good news tonight, temperatures will dip into the 70s as we go. And the turf field is now entirely covered in shade. For Charleston, they'll play at North Carolina, rather against North Carolina, their next match. Sunday at 5 here on CBS Sports Network. Landry. Launched in over the top off of Jennings. He himself offside. And Matt Van Oekel ensures that doesn't get anywhere near his net. This is the most Burt Reynolds looking player in championship history. And similarly carries a rogue attitude. One of the great goalkeepers in our league, Dev, and the stats back it up.
Goalkeepers are an interesting breed, man. They are. I mean, Matt Van Oekel's right up there. One of the nicest guys you'll get an opportunity to chat with, by the way. 3rd all-time in saves, 4th all-time in shutouts. Has an opportunity to continue to move his way up the ranks. But I would say that it's terrible turnover.
And last from distance, that's easily handled. Still work to do. All clipped away from Trey Garthen. Not much better there. So Rodriguez couldn't corral it. Pasher lost the handle. It's Thiago. Flips Rodriguez like an omelet.
You know, one thing that we didn't talk about in the Open that I wanted to have the ability to expand upon it within the game, Mike, is, okay, defensively, the numbers, how they've changed for Birmingham Legion. How about just the tenacity, the will to go and fight the game, right? To just absolutely and utterly destroy the opponent on competition. It's something that, from a character standpoint, has lacked for a little bit for this team and has certainly become much more apparent. Yes, understanding that Thiago picks up a yellow card for his efforts in that situation, but as a player, when you know that you've got a shadow physically, that the personnel next to you, regardless of who the mark is always going to be right there trying to impose their will on you, it plays mind games. And that's something that they've done a really good job over the past 3 or 4 games under Mark Briggs of making sure that they've impacted the game.
Lasso able to get it forward. Trejo drops. Lasso long over Blackstock into Mensa. There's Lasso, 1.5 years in Tulsa, 29 games. Acquired May the 16th, about 2.5 weeks in into Mark Briggs' tenure. Said it all came together really quickly once he showed Jay Heaps what his vision was for Lazo. This will skip past Dos Santos and out. Soccer season is here. SeatGeek, the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek. Your ticket to great seats. Dropped off by Jennings, but into the path of Lazo. Recovered by Birmingham. That's smothered by Luis Amudio. 5 starts over the last 2 years combined. It was on loan from DC to Pittsburgh. You actually saw the battery in preseason, saw Zamudio and went, yeah, that'll fit.
I think the thing about him was you understand that it's not just the retirement of Adam Grinwis, but it's also replacing the shoes that were filled the year prior en route to the USL Championship final, falling just short against Phoenix Rising, and Trey Muse. Right, back-to-back goalkeepers that really held an identity for a team that is ball dominant, that wants to be good, high-level possession, and he provides a level of comfort back there, just allows the guys in front of him to go and explore the game. Helps to speed it up quick off of his line. Statistically, not necessarily as dominant as you will see in previous seasons from his predecessors, but a really good leader and just allows the guys in front to focus.
Away by Kavita. Off the turn, MD Myers. Torres. Driven away by Damas. With that Trejo. Smith. 45 minutes against Phoenix, 70 against South Georgia Tormenta in a 3-3 draw in Jägermeister Cup. 90-minute fit tonight, notable with Leland Archer's excused absence, alongside Joey Apononu. He's come a long way this season. The aforementioned Apononu. Charleston growing into the game, one of the best teams in the championship on the road. Martinez. Kavita. Tregarthen. They tracked Tregarthen in League Two with Asheville City. Came out of NAIA powerhouse Lindsey Wilson. That's handed over cheaply. Torres spots the keeper off his line. Did you say 75% from outside the box?
It's funny, a lot of guys we'll see hit it from distance and they'll be off the mark. They'll put it in the parking lot. He tried to hit this one from Zone C parking. Yeah. I mean, that's, look, give him confidence, give him credit, right? Certainly Juan David Torres and the way that they go about their business moving forward, it's certainly different than what was Nick Marcanic. Now employing his trade in Spain with Castellón, starting to find a rhythm. Better in combination play. Juan David Torres, though, still searching for the overall spectacular.
Marcanic smashing the goal-scoring record on his way out the door. Landry. Landry on the dribble. Clever leave. Comes inside Myers. Jennings off the spin. Back to Van Oekel.
Look at how quickly they activate, though. They're outside mids. They get narrow. Landry dropping down in, which creates that single pivot. Emilio Acosta comes high, and then it's difficult as a defender to try and track where the next line is coming from. That inversion by Langston Blackstock. If you're Enzo Martinez, you try and jump the route, but then understand that the most threatening piece is still Juan David Torres on the outside. That's the evolution that you referenced earlier. This team used to be very linear in nature. Off the back line, work the center mids, work it to the outside, and then go in transition. That's not the case anymore. We are a far cry away from the squad that had the biggest point turnaround from season to season, making it all the way to the final in 2023. A real title contender that can attack you on so many different levels.
They went 34 points ahead of their 2022 total en route to the final in 23, ahead of schedule by any measure. And I think the funny thing is, Dev, you bring that up to Mark Briggs and he goes, yeah, you're right. That does showcase a change in the opposition with what Charleston and Ben present. And yet, they are still the team that leads the league in second balls won on duels.
Yeah, it's work right off the ball, right? Right, he says confidence is the big thing for him.
Yeah.
Both defensively, moments like that, where you not only win the initial battle, but you pick up the passage, and also just the willingness to go and compete overall. I talked to him about kind of passing matrices. I worked in some stats about how the game is broken down different zones, and he said, yeah, I think the ability for these guys to understand they can go and explore a little bit of their own inner well-being. Some untapped resource that, although available prior, wasn't necessarily allowed because of their offensive structure. That's not the case anymore. They have the freedom to roam because they know defensively they're going to work for each other and they have the coverage.
Here comes Tyler Pasher. Erased by Apononu. A win for Birmingham. They move right up to the playoff line. Charleston a win. They pull level with Louisville City. Trejo dispossessed by Landry. Matt Thompson, the 23rd player.
Conversely, the biggest argument right now in terms of lack of growth for the Legion is going to be about the fact that I mentioned segmented, right? You have different groups. You've got your back line, your midfield, and then your front line. There's not enough symbiosis between all of them. That rotation that we referenced, the ability to be free playing, if you're the Charleston Battery, what Ben Pierman has instilled in so much confidence and allowed them to do, Birmingham Legion don't have it. So as you watch them move forward, you'll get them play through their two holding midfielders, but then the next step is 20, 25 yards away. If Tyler Pasher is dropping in, well, so is Danny Trejo, and then the ball goes up over the top, and it's Ronaldo Damas in a 4v1 that isn't benefiting him. This is about repetitions that they're going to have to go through. The numbers have grown attacking-wise. The problem is the consistency of it has severely lacked. So, you know, they'll create close to 2 goals and expected goals in a game, but the very next game they'll drop down to 0.5. So it's up and down and up and down. He's just trying to instill the same sort of confidence that the Battery have within his grouping, that squad selection has become more regular, especially the depth of it. Still wouldn't say that he's anywhere near a first choice 11 overall, though.
No. Birmingham team with 15 goals in 14 games. Only 1 goal from Trejo, 1 goal from Pasher, 1 goal from Martinez. I've seen a good year from Damas in terms of tallying. Sneaks out. The USL on CBS kicks off July. This hot showdown of Championship Eastern Conference rivals. Last season's final runner-up Rhode Island take on their Northeast El Quamico rival, Hartford Athletics, Saturday, July 19th, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS. And then a week later, they're going to play essentially for the group in Jägermeister Cup.
Should be. Goes Clemicos.
There's some Rhode Island fans that are like, oh, he would never call it El Clamico on network television. You're wrong. I absolutely would.
Absolutely. Joke's on you, and so is the tap.
Well, if I'm willing to say the Louisville-Indianapolis Proximity Association football contest on network TV.
I gotta tell you, I give the Rhode Island fan base a lot of credit. Already reaching out, what, 2.5 weeks prior to that fixture against Hartford on the 19th, letting us know what food establishments we frequent. The possibility of them joining us, more than likely not, because we're gonna have to pay our own way, but still, I'm here for it.
Sending you to the dankest oysters in all of New England.
Bingo.
Torres. And free to Myers, but the whistle is against Torres. And Kavita looks to put it in play. Sports the captain's armband for the side. Still trying to see more of that leadership come through between him, Enzo Martinez, as they continue this turnover from Tommy Sohn to Mark Briggs. Whoa, Zamudio. Pilfering outside the penalty area. Trey Garthen. Gets the return and snaps it ahead. Zamudio. On Trey Garthen to knock it out of play.
Ben Pierman gave Luis Zamudio a ton of compliments, one of which was his aggression coming off the line. I'm not sure that's what he was talking about in our conversation earlier today. Said it allows that back line to be more vertical, more aggressive. Well, it also could have gotten them in trouble in this situation. You know, I do wonder for the attacking builds for the Legion. You know, I mentioned that they're getting healthy. I do sort of wonder, with that lack of cohesion in the midfield group, if they could turn this into a three-man conversation. I'm all for the idea of Danny Trejo, Ronaldo Damas, and Tyler Pasher all being on the field at the same point in time. But eventually, that's going to have to pay dividends. That's got to be goals, right? They've got to produce. If it doesn't, if he more regularly, Mark Briggs, is willing to explore the idea of dropping another player within the midfield, play a single six, allow Enzo Martinez and a guy like Dawson McCartney, who's comfortable on the back line, moving up high and within the midfield, to go and explore that triangular type shape, close off some of that space that is in the middle, cause more link-up play, still allow you to be free-flowing up top.
Thomas intervened. That one's the foul off Landry. McCartney, by the way, should be back sooner than later, but not available due to injury tonight.
And to be fair, I think they have the ability with multiple players in that conversation. Kobe Hernandez-Foster, Sam Mickelhatton is another one. The difference is you move more into that two-holding midfielder type role. I think it's too much work rate for Enzo Martinez to drop into an out-and-out 10. They are certainly lacking bodies there, but you want to give yourself the ability to stretch the game, and one player isn't going to do it. Not against the Charleston Battery tonight, and certainly not against some other opposition that'll be up and coming. Everything has been direct up over the top to try and find players in transition or on the outside, and the Battery have played the game just the way they want it.
Moving away to Martinez, who lost this over and out. How many players that play with more passion than Enzo Martinez has in his illustrious championship career? Won't quite reach third in minutes played all time, but he's trying to chase down Conardo Forbes, the former record holder. Aiden Quinn, Sean Tosh, top of that ladder. He can hit a mark tonight, though, minutes-wise. He could hit 10,000 minutes with Birmingham. He'd be the first player in league history to hit 10K with two different teams. He did it with Charlotte Independence before they dropped to League One as well. the aforementioned Martinez.
But again, same conversation. Look at how deep they are just atop the 18. All of a sudden, you've got Damas and Pasher, Trejo all on the same line, dropping down in. There's still a 40-yard gap to even get to them, but that also allows the back line of the Charleston battery to step up with you. The conversation has to be there, maintaining a presence up high. If one comes, that's fine. Both of you can't drop into that pocket, though.
Intangibles here for titles. 4-time all-league selection, Martinez. Approaching half an hour played and still without the big moment. Lazo. Kavita. Here's Thiago. Came in on loan from New England in January. Part of what's been quite the pipeline between New England and Birmingham, which was no surprise. Tommy Sohn at the helm, nor with Jay Heaps remaining in charge of soccer operations. Landry shedding one, now two. Slides ahead for Jennings. That's simple for AJ Patterson. 5 years in Charleston for Patterson. Captained the side from worst in the league to first in the East, so to speak, reaching the championship final.
What a ball.
Jennings. Jennings! Splaying Van Okel. A tad shaken up. Jennings smooth atop the 18. Can't quite knock it in.
This issue you run into when you're playing the Charleston battery, tracking both Cal Jennings and MD Myers because of their willingness to come deep, Mike, and that's exactly what both do. Notice how high the line is from Fanuel Kavita and AJ Patterson as you drift down in. Well, now you're stepping up high, then you're starting to retreat and you're chasing a player in transition. But that's the movement of Cal Jennings there, coming off that quick diagonal to then circle back around. You're creating space between the two, but also individual brilliance to open up that tiny window just in front of the back three for Birmingham.
Second card issued in this game. Landry joins Thiago. Toro Rodriguez really arguing the point. Matt Thompson clearly did not care.
He's certainly been a little bit strict here. Matt Thompson, the arm coming up high is the argument. Then back across the face for Landry. He was staring at him the entirety of the way. Hasn't really allowed much to go in to this match, a half hour gone.
So Landry into the book. Hey, Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. From the Academy to the big leagues, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. Matt Thompson dealing with Birmingham's lead defense attorney, Enzo Martinez. By the way, what do you think of the new kits here tonight? These are the Stars Fell kit. Salute to service night here on this Independence Day midweek. Pays homage to a famed meteor shower in Alabama, seen in Alabama, didn't hit Alabama. Through for Myers. Myers caught up to it, splayed aside by Van Oekel. And Charleston onrushing the Birmingham goalkeeper like an 1833 meteor shower.
That gives you a real good idea right away why Matt Van Oekel, top 5 all time in most statistical categories for goalkeepers. How does he reach back across his body? Notice his momentum coming all the way to the left, that big frame, and still has the audacity to come back across with that big right paw and parry it out of the back of the net. That is also the difference between a true marksman and Cal Jennings and MD Myers. Cal Jennings would have gone low. You move the goalkeeper, you bring it low back across. A little bit more difficult to come back and get it as opposed to his arm, his shoulder's already up high. Gives you much higher chance of save percentage going the vertical route.
Rodriguez. There's Zapanonu. Of course, it's the patriotic uniforms tonight. It is deemed the best fireworks show in Colorado that we'll be taking part in on Friday. Switchbacks hosting Louisville City. Home to the Air Force Academy. It's a bit of a tradition in downtown Colorado Springs that they host on the 4th of July. Have that game here on CBS Sports Network on Friday. We'll preview that game coming up at halftime. Called the Super Cup. Champion against Shield winner. Escapes off to Santos. Has this been the game you expected? I mean, it's certainly been physical. It's perhaps lacked a bit of the panache in front of goal.
Wanted no, expected yes. The expectation behind both of these squads that they would open it up a little bit, try and chase some points. The reality is congestion for both teams with Jägermeister Cup now midweek, and then certainly league play on the weekend. And Charleston Battery are going to play 9 games in 28 days. Good luck with that gauntlet.
And not with the largest roster either.
Yeah, there's travel for the Battery. There's heat, which are going to affect both teams. Field conditions, which although it is turf, talking to Ben Pierman ahead of this match, he said that, it's not as bouncy as some of the other fields are, but it does play fast. And within that, you can, much like a miler coming out of a race too quickly, you can kind of overindulge and then tire yourself out. So slowly moving into it, and also the fear of making a mistake.
The mistake was giving it to Myers. Torres slides it over. Arturo Rodriguez ran out of real estate. Part of it is how much energy do you want to expend early in this game, and you can see Rodriguez clapping. He knows he gave something away.
Well, the other idea about rotation and lack of it attacking-wise is when you don't have players come in and you don't move together, Mike, you also don't have the ability defensively to then spring into action quicker. We talked in ahead of the curve prior to the match. Defensively, they set themselves up for success by strength in numbers. So you win the numerical battle of man advantages, 4v2s, 3v1s, so on and so forth. In the game here tonight, Birmingham's not battling enough, so on their turnovers, because they aren't rotating right and they're not helping each other, the quick turnovers are very isolated man v man, which is allowing the Charleston Battery to get in behind quicker.
Zapanonu. Back through Blackstock. incoming from Pittsburgh over the offseason. Dos Santos. Oh, Kaza. Popped by Martinez and a quick restart. Battery 3 points back of Louisville. Call this the game in hand. They'll finish the weekend both on 16 games. All ball. Myers cleaned off. Up into the stands. Be a throw deep in the attacking end for Charleston. Hand it back to Trejo. Thomas a bit slow to recollect. Nearly paid it right back to Akaza. Catch a Canadian League Football West Division showdown. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders. Don't miss kickoff 9 Eastern right here on CBS Sports Network tomorrow night. I know that's got you hot and bothered.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be allowed to stay up past my bedtime, but it's certainly on the itinerary.
I saw one of the craziest return touchdowns in any football game I've ever watched out of the CFL last week. Go Argos.
I will say it is a bucket list for me. Grey Cup.
Yeah?
Eventually, yeah. Whether they want me there or not is a different conversation.
No, banned. Banned from all Grey Cup.
You're covering the wrong football. A lot busier from the 2-9s from Charleston now. Jennings was staying up high a little bit more often. Again, the different ideas that have really established this team moving forward. They both drop in quickly down into the channel.
Jennings back. Myers got a tap. Blasted toward frame. That was Akaza coming out of midfield. Still on here through Rodriguez. Jennings delayed in an offside position. Torres. Flutters back out. Ikaza. Ikaza again, that run to the 2023 final. He was the guy who was giving the speeches in the locker room throughout that playoff run. Ultimately fell to his former team, Phoenix Rising, in that final. Landry. Torres. Slipped through Myers. Angle tightening. Van Okel came off his line, deflects out for a corner.
Back-to-back sequences here for the Charleston Battery. First one was from Cal Jennings. The second, very similar in nature, where both 9s starting side by side. As they drop, it brings the back line a little bit higher, and then on the quick diagonal, they get in behind. And recognizing that AJ Patterson's still trying to get up to full game speed here. That's a great read by MZ Myers, but an even better reaction from Matt Van Okel to quickly come off his line and eliminate That square ball coming back across.
Corner for Charleston, swinging in. Van Oekel had to be aware. Tapped out. It'll be a corner from the other end.
We've already seen it a couple of times this season where Juan David Torres going for the Olympico. Pay dirt once. One of the most deadly specialists there is from dead ball situations. That left foot of his. Arturo Rodriguez, a marksman in his own right.
Van Oekel was wise. It's a sphere. Don't you see? The edge of the ball is over the... No, but if I move it just right, we good? We good.
Who's better in the court of law, Enzo Martinez or Arturo Rodriguez?
I mean, depends what
The
kind of
bar is
judge.
raised for both of them.
Well, I mean, the bar is passed. Rodriguez curling, met again by Van Oekel. Didn't know how close that was going to get. Ultimately, palms it out.
We're just talking about the left footer and slow to react here. Enzo Martinez out on an island. Notice Danny Trejo gets caught ball watching on that near post a little bit. I would say, though, that's not his responsibility. That's got to be a better reaction from the group just inside the box. Trejo stays, group comes out, eliminate the threat. Because if the ball does come back in, Mike, on the near post, Van Oekel's left out to dry.
Well, Van Oekel says case closed. Torres skews into the air. Smith trying to get beneath it. Out to the halfway line. Halftime here in Birmingham, scoreless, and it is a withstood barrage at the end by Van Oekel and the Legion.
Similar conversation for Mark Briggs in Birmingham in that their groups just seem to be scattered. We've seen glimpses of quality defending, control within the midfield, and then aggression on the front line. They got to bring that together, though, if they want to break down this Charleston Battery team who, to be fair, Mike, they seem a little tentative. They're playing a little bit scared right now on the road. Ben Pierman's going to tell them to be more aggressive coming into the second half and chase that opening goal.
So the points still very much hang in the balance here tonight in Birmingham. Ben Pierman and Charleston trying to move back to the top of the Shield race. That's as close as Cal Jennings came. And Birmingham trying to argue their way back into the playoff chase. We'll show you what's coming up this week on CBS Sports Network. This is the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. Welcome to Wrexham. Wait a minute. Birmingham? Birmingham. Birmingham Legion take on Charleston Battery from far reaches of the globe. They've all come here to Protective Stadium. The USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, we've got a ton of great action coming up here on CBS Sports Network. This weekend, we start on Friday night. Call it the Super Cup. Don't call it the Super Cup. It's just the reigning title winner and the reigning champion.
Trying to find a way to rain goals if you're Colorado Springs. They've really struggled on the attacking side. To be fair, that they don't really have a 9 anymore, so they play false 9. They play a little bit more narrow. I'd argue that right up there with the Charleston Battery and the overall structure of how they go about their business. Great about control of the game. But it's time to put the ball in the back of the net against Louisville, who defensively have become so stout and still maintain the discipline on the attacking front. Oh, by the way, one of the best to ever do it, Cam Lancaster. Yeah, he's back.
How about we skip to this Sunday game? It's North Carolina, who've been piling up some pretty high-profile wins.
I got to tell you, man, I give John Bradford and co. a lot of credit for what they've done there in Cary, a team that, to me, in the midfield conversation, lacks. Defensively, decent. Great goalkeeping. Jake McGuire on that back line, second in saves. Evan Conway, their 9, is starting to get healthy. And transitionally on the width, one of the best in the league. And they're going to be doing it against Charleston Battery, who are so good centrally. But to your point, North Carolina, the only team in the championship with wins against teams that are currently first and second in their respective conferences.
Wow. As Dean Linke, friend of the program, would say, how about North Carolina FC? Charleston and Birmingham, scoreless. Show you the highlights from the first half next.
It's the moon. Birmingham and Charleston shooting for it. They've missed to this point. It's scoreless at halftime. Magnificent night here in the Magic City. Welcome back, everyone. It's the USL on CBS Sports presented by Best Western. That's Devin Kerr, Mike Watts as well. All right, so they both shot for the moon. What did you take out of that first half?
Did we play the first half?
The first half is concluded.
It was slow. It was a slow first half. It felt like a midseason game where teams are chasing ideas, a little bit tentative, fearful of giving up points, and the most of that came from the number 2 team in the Players' Shield race right now, the Charleston Battery. They were the dominant team because they dominated the ball, but I think more so, Mike, because they dominated space. They had a high line of pressure consistently throughout the match. So within that, you got movement from Cal Jennings, MD Myers, and you allow your playmakers like Juan David Torres, set piece or not, to be able to go and challenge the goalkeeper. Now, it took about 30 minutes for this thing really to get going. 30 yards and in for the Battery. That control that I talk about, in order for them to find success going forward. Wide open space is easy. The Charleston Battery aren't going to give you that in regular succession. Instead, they're going to challenge you centrally. The crossing patterns became more frequent, and to me, it was about the work rate. MT Myers and Cal Jennings, the way that they cut on the diagonals, it started to really test that back three. They struggled challenging players, moving in behind the back line, but also, Mike, tossing players back and forth. Communication lacked between them. They gave up more chances. The most important thing, though, for the Birmingham Legion, it's still 0-0 after 45 minutes of play.
Yeah, it's all still there for them. They have conceded 10 shots, 4 on target. Nothing's gotten by Van Oekel yet. We approach the second half. As close as Van Oekel came to conceding, Mark Briggs and the Legion still trying to figure it all out. The Welsh love it, though. Halftime on CBS Sports Network.
Here is your travel map brought to you by Best Western.
Ben Pierman wants you to work off the ball, and certainly you get that at a Husu Landry. Down coverage, not an issue at all, especially with the way that Juan David Torres likes to play himself by and then cut on the inverts. But if you are to be one of those commanders within the midfield conversation, you got to be clean on the ball. 93% passing accuracy, bested by only his counterpart, Emilio Icaza, in the midfield, who was absolutely perfect in the first half, 20 for 20 in passing.
Landry at Loudon, then New Mexico, signed a multi-year deal. The press release said he's got the ability to be one of the best midfielders in the championship, and you've gotten a decent idea why. He imposes within the game, certainly covers plenty of ground. All the while, Charleston trying to make a point here tonight. They felt this game would open up in the second half, and goodness, Devin, I hope they're right.
Selfishly, that Midsummer Night's Dream is starting to become upon you.
You know, we had Charleston a couple weeks ago here on CBS Sports Network, and we were chatting with him. I said, look, Ben, voice is a little tired. If you could just give me a solid 1-0 game. You know, I didn't tell him I didn't care who won, but I mean, you know, one team, one goal, that's enough. And they gave me something like 4-3.
Yeah.
You know, I asked
your voice.
I asked him for goals tonight. What do I get?
Yeah. You walked right into that one. You don't ask for Christmas presents in July, Michael.
Yeah, you and I had Ben on USL All Access on SiriusXM FC this week, and we always think we're going to get 20 minutes or so with an interview, and he was so good. We were chatting better part of 35 minutes with him about everything. Ben Pierman should be one of the most sought-after commodities in American soccer.
His game model, his recruiting in terms of personnel and their character, and I was quite taken about the comment. I joked online about it a little bit, how a meeting at the end of the 2019 season, which was just prior to Memphis's inclusion into the championship in 2020, changed his thoughts on how to go about recruiting. Go check it out on the USL YouTube app.
Yep, excellent. On to the second half we go. Birmingham could get the win of their season here tonight against Charleston, who are second in the Eastern Conference and fighting tooth and nail to get into the Shield race. They could pull level with Louisville atop the standings with a win. Cal Jennings fighting tooth and nail. Does well to make good with A.J. Patterson at the end. Patterson out of Wright State. 6'2", big dude, part of the Grenada national team through his father. Actually captained Grenada in Nations League against the U.S. a couple years ago. Matt Van Okel to put this away. That mustache actually precludes him from the written portion of the firefighter's exam if he ever chooses to go that route, I think.
You ever grown a mustache?
Not well, not like that.
The beard's beautiful.
The beard is unkempt. But necessary. It's what it's covering.
Gotta work that into the budget next season.
I think Matt Thompson could do a good job with a mustache.
Or a beard.
One of the more veteran officials in the championship. Well, Dev, here comes the fun part, right? The lights go on, the sun goes down, temps drop into the 70s. They've watered the field at halftime. Now all of a sudden, you get the feeling both sides know what's at stake, and there's something to fight for here. Jennings tried to drop that off.
Recognizing that we're just 2 minutes into play in the second half, the dominance that was the Charleston Battery, specifically their possession and the capability they carry alongside of it, has funneled over here. And look, if you're the Birmingham Legion, Mike, you don't need to go out and dominate possession overall. It is something that has become more apparent in the Mark Briggs era, their ability to control the possessional conversation, not necessarily death by 1,000 passes, but it can't be around 75%, which is what it was for the last 15 minutes of the first half.
Benz puts that up, falls toward Martinez, clipped out by Landry, who adds to that travel map, reaching all the way to the end line to clear that.
The great thing you get about Husu Landry is not just his ability to be clean within the midfield, but defensively, what he's capable of. This is one of their better defenders right now, playing at that 6th spot. They've utilized him at the outside back position due to injury and rotation within the squad, and his understanding to track players coming to that first line into the 2nd and 3rd different areas, the way that they attack. It's hard to put a value on it, and it's a real area that the Charleston Battery attacked in the offseason. It was depth. It wasn't just depth by numbers, but by players being flexible positionally, so that you're not gonna say I'm gonna replace a 6 with a 6. You can pull a guy out of the midfield onto the back line, play him up high into the 10, wingers onto the back line, conversely going the other direction. The depth of the Charleston Battery has to be the biggest asset that they picked up in the offseason, and certainly has benefited for them here in 2025.
Dos Santos leading down the line. Torres was available in the middle, tried to sneak it to him. Torres drops back to get it. Kavita drops that right into Jennings. Good hook slide by Martinez. Out to Pasher. And slip through. This is way offside for Trejo. This isn't objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. I mean, that object was way back there. The automated VAR doesn't even have 2 players in the image. Graham Smith, the big switch. Defender of the year in the championship last season. Torres hammers the cross. That's a push for Myers, and a chance for you to be reminded that if you can't watch the match, turn on SiriusXM FC 157. It's North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access on Tuesday nights. Plus your live matches, the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. It's all on SiriusXM FC 157 and the still new SiriusXM app.
Some great interviews we've had this year. We talked about Ben Pierman, head coach of the Charleston Battery, in action now. Joined us just last night. Sean McCauley from Indy 11 prior. Pa Modukai a couple of weeks back. Phoenix Rising back in the playoff race in the Western Conference. The kids are all right. Ryan Martin, Loudon, their continued success, trying to stay hot on the heels of Charleston Battery in Louisville.
I was talking to Steve Coleman, the interim at Tampa Bay, who came over from Loudon, about what Loudon's done this year under Ryan Martin, the long-term build that it took to get there. Saw Cal Jennings sitting near the top of the Golden Boot. Well, Abakora at Loudon has been revolutionary for them. Slip ball through, Pasher can and will latch on. Pasher tried the hop step, Blackstock broke it up. If ever you get him on a hot streak, Pasher can give you double-digit goals in double-digit games.
It's an excellent defensive recovery, but what was the issue that I had in the first half is that they would either all stay up high or Hall come down low. Much better job here as Thomas comes down in. Pasher recognizing that you have to reclaim that space and still be the thorn in the side. So they draw the Charleston Battery a little up high defensively, and then he utilizes his speed to get in behind. Well worked by Birmingham.
It will be Pasher. Eight goals over the last 2 seasons. He had 10 in that shortened 2020 season at Indy that got him the move to Houston. Ball across, header, lofted into the grasp of Zamudio. That was a defensive header at that. Let's play this long for Jennings.
Is that for a touch? Oh, he's out.
And Okel got lost. Found himself. Angle got tight for Jennings.
It's a heck of a touch by Cal Jennings to bring that down yet alone. To then drop that shoulder, get the explosion in behind. Matt Van Okel nearly had his pocket picked.
Sent out a play, Pasher helping to intervene. I remember talking to him at the 2016 final. He was with Swope Park Rangers at the time. Went to back-to-back finals with the club. Came up through the Toronto Academy. He's from Elmira in Ontario. Thomas Rongen told me he was sleeping on the floor at times to never have to leave the facility. He was working in residential steel construction, 12-hour shifts. Through here for Myers. Kept it at the end line and into the path of Van Okel. So he's working from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. and he's one of the most electric players you've ever seen. Injuries have certainly taken some out of him over the years. Opportunity, at times momentum. But you talk to Mark Briggs and he says, I like a lot of what I'm seeing from Pasher. He's one of the guys when I first arrived, I went, that's a guy that can give us more.
Someone that he certainly admired for quite some time. I would also say for Tyler Pasher, Mike, that outside of health, which you hit on, the mentality, you know, to have confidence, it's something for me that has lacked for quite some time within his game. And although, you know, there have been glimpses for the Birmingham Legion, the last time we really saw his dominance was in the 2021 season when he was then playing for the Houston Dynamo within MLS. He was coming off a couple of great years for the Indy 11 where he would just run at you at will. And that's what Mark Briggs is looking for right now. He doesn't need to open. That's a card.
Yeah, what color? It's a yellow. Oh. Lazo and Akaza becoming friendly.
Just left a little something in this. So Martinez recognizing he makes a mistake, and
it looks like he pulls out of that, right?
He does. He's very lucky that he pulls out of it too, because if that right foot comes forward and the studs come up, he's taking an early shower. But notice as he drags the foot, recognizing that he's going to be late to the conversation. And just to cap it about Tyler Pasher, that space that they can open up, the way that they can build and move in transition, that's all about his ability to attack the game forward-facing. Tyler Pasher is not the type of guy that you regularly want down in the pocket using him deep. You want him up high, threatening against an opposition's back line.
Well, Pasher defending like a gnat. Flipped off the ball. Referee had a long look at that. It's deemed clean. There is no VAR in the championship. So even if it's worthy of a look, it won't get one. Not for Matt Thompson, at least. Torres. Horizontal run through the pocket, maintain for Myers. These sides won't meet again until October 25th. That is, in essence, decision day. Could Charleston still be fighting for the top seed, the Shield even? Birmingham be safely into the playoffs, or will they hold down to the last day? They missed after 5 consecutive appearances last year. It was tied the 4th longest active streak in the league. over the top. That checked up on the turf. Zamudio came out. Himself big in front of Damas. Whistle went anyways.
It's a quick, clean ball, though, from Thiago Suarez, and Zamudio a bit fearful that his contact on Ronaldo Damas would have gotten him in trouble, especially the way that the ball, to your point, Mike, has a little bit of English on it and slows down, eliminating the ability of Zamudio to continue his assault coming off the line. I do like what they're doing here, though. They're giving a bit more freedom to Trejo and Tyler Pasher deeper, and more importantly, the balance that you're getting out of them. They're both dropping, but not necessarily on that same level. So as Pasher comes, Danny Trejo then provides the extension. With the way that Enzo Martinez is popping up higher here and the coverage you get underneath, Edwin Lazo much better within the midfield for the Birmingham Legion, that is starting to provide some real looks going forward for Ronaldo Damas.
Torres massaging the old tailbone. Sweet Moses.
Been a menace Mensah has. A little contact on the backside.
Casa had to play that quickly. There's Smith. Notably, Aaron Malloy available off the bench tonight. Missed the last 2 games. Could be a go for Charleston this evening. Get to the hour mark and start to contemplate changes. Jeremy Kelly also starting to get ready. This from the top of the 18. Smashed and denied. Martinez across and laced off the first time on a play. Matter.
Still back to the first, though, on the initial tackle, Mike. Notice the amount of bodies up high for Birmingham Legion. Much better. Compress the field, committed to getting numbers in advanced positions and recognizing that you don't get the shot on target. The ability to go and challenge for a second and a third time. Something that has certainly been lacking over the course of this match.
Double sub here for Charleston. Icaza and Arturo Rodriguez are coming out. There's Jeremy Kelly. Aaron Malloy joins, both with Ben Pierman in Memphis. Kelly had the best season of his career with Ben in 2022. 8 goals, 10 assists as he moved from the defense to central midfield. And then Aaron Malloy, arguably or perhaps inarguably the best central midfield player in the championship, coming off a couple games missing due to injury. Although he did play some center back earlier this year. Wasn't half bad.
He's just setting himself up for the next contract negotiation. Got to benefit yourself when those talks open up.
Ben said, hey, look, Aaron, we may need you to play a little center back this coming week. We've got some injuries. And say he called his dad, and his dad essentially was challenging him to go prove he could do it.
I'm gonna need that bonus check for Say on the house.
Somewhere Rob Salvatore is sweating. Well, if you think you can build a roster, then eFootball is here. You can live your dream, rep your team, play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now.
Given your schedule right now, you getting any eFootball in, or?
Not a single minute.
No, I was fearful of that.
Yeah.
If you need help, let me know. I'm happy to pick up your end. Which was 0.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Thiago. Those aren't stars down his jersey. That's drops of blood. He got swiped, I guess. Thiago actually part of the Sacramento Youth Academy. So let's say this is a reunion with Mark Briggs. Well, he arrived in Birmingham in January. Briggs not till the end of April. Blackstock on David Torres. Torres! Whether he's looking for Kelly or looking to chip, the goalkeeper is in some ways irrelevant. It's a corner either way.
That back stick, though, is just starting to open up, though. Tregarthen doesn't recognize how much more vertical Jeremy Kelly is compared to the profile of Arturo Rodriguez. Rodriguez wants to play underneath, but now Jeremy Kelly, back-to-back moments where he has really challenged the pace on that right-hand flank and nearly links up with Torres.
Thiago back onto the field. Corner flutters around. Tregarthen eventually launches and recovered by Torres. Swings by Pasher into Malloy. Nobody home but Trejo. Torres.
It's one of those 75%ers you'd like to have back, Ben Pierman. And Mark Briggs telling us that he feels the Charleston Battery are the best in the business as winning those second chance opportunities. I would probably back that up, and whether I agree or not, I would say that they are also, at least from this vantage point, one of the most wasteful in it too. The willingness to let it fly from distance, take the road less traveled, certainly not as efficient as what they are capable of, part of that growth pattern that you will get. Defensively, as well as the pairing up high. Aaron Malloy will give you that.
Kelly was trying to usher that along.
The overall void down underneath, though, is still pretty apparent for Birmingham Legion, just allowing Landry and Aaron Malloy to really control the entire rhythm of this game, and especially with what you've gotten out of Jeremy Kelly on the outside, a little bit more threatening than it was with Arturo Rodriguez, though within that, Mike, they've also opened themselves up a bit more. That's a card.
And Lazo throws Malloy at the end of it. So fresh into the game, Aaron Malloy is going to play on a yellow card. That's his 5th this year.
Much better, though, by Birmingham Legion. Watch how quickly they play through the lines. First touch, faster. Lazo is the vision and ground coverage you get defensively. He's just as happy to reciprocate it going the other direction. Aaron Malloy recognizing that the aggression by Landry had gotten them into trouble, had to commit the professional foul. That's what I want to see more of, though, from this Birmingham Legion squad, that grit in the midfield bite to go and attack the game, as AJ Patterson calls it quits on the night. I'll tell you, with the addition of Jake Roof, this should see Thiago Suarez rotate over to the left side, and Jake Roof will round out the back three on the right. That's assuming that that man right there, Fanuel Kavita, isn't worse for the wear after the misstep on the back post and can continue forth.
Appears to give the sign he's good to go.
Describes most of your Friday nights.
That's an unexpected stray.
Let's stay with the group, Mike. Can't wander away.
On that note, we'll see you Friday night for the big matchup between Louisville City and Colorado Springs. Devin will try and make it a graceful landing at Widener Field in downtown Colorado Springs. But we take a look at the Best Western upcoming schedule. It's over on CBS Sports Network, indeed. Stick it on July 4th. Stick around after the fireworks. Then the Battery in North Carolina on Sunday night. And July 11th, back on ESPN2 for an all-Californian affair, Monterey Bay and Orange County. It's been a nice year for Monterey Bay. Now, whether Jordan Stewart's side can sustain it, that's going to be the question. It's a similar start to what they did a year ago.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I do like the plan for that club overall after the departure of Frank Yallop. You talk about consistency. I think for me, that's probably more so suited for their attacking unit and trying to figure out who is going to be the guy. Never really truly threatening for me overall within their matches. Seem to have success at every other level, though.
Came over to Thiago. Roof. Overcooked. The USL Championship and League One are on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches, expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN Plus. Go to USLChampionship.com or USLLeague1.com for complete USL TV listings. You and I are living USL Championship on CBS Sports and ESPN this month, aren't we?
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Nope. "20 minutes plus stoppage remaining. A world of time to get 3 enormous points. Torres leading. Dos Santos crossing. Ricochets back. Mensah progresses. Trejo pinballs around. Smashed over the top. Thomas will chase. Apononu got there first.
That front line for the Battery feels like it's losing steam, and Cal Jennings and MD Myers not working as much. And to be fair, they had to do a ton off the ball. 70 minutes in, but within that, it's freeing up moments like this. Not as much pressure on the Legion midfield. I still go back to the fact that really good decision-making being had by everyone in a Birmingham jersey right now. Still nothing to show for it, but quicker on the draw to move up high and try and stretch the overall shape for the Battery.
Jackson Conway gives you another look off the bench if you're looking to get another forward into the game. It's also not a team that historically is needed to play with 2 strikers. So if they do choose to get one out, bring in the lone remaining center forward on their bench, they could do it by changing shape. That's Mensah, who's banged up. Look down the remainder of the roster tonight. Segbers, Allen, no Archer. Johnny Klein available as well.
I was just going to say, you could also bring Johnny Klein out onto the wing if you wanted to remove one of your strikers, rotate Juan David Torres into that central 10 type role. Something they started to do at the tail end of last season prior to the departure of Nick Marcanic. Just looks like he gets clipped at the tail end of that replay. Moses Mensah.
Mensah continuing to be attended to here in a level match. An unlimited number of tickets for any Welsh folk that want to come in the future. As loud as any of the Birmingham fans. It's good to see them enjoying themselves.
Confidence is growing. Apparently so is the bar tap.
Yeah, confirmed. By the way, no McCartney nor Saucedo for Birmingham tonight due to injury. Should be noted Charleston is without Rubio Rabin, although can't imagine he plays on Sunday either. He did start tonight for Guatemala. Guatemala had 20 shots against the U.S. The U.S. got 2 goals from former championship star Diego Luna, first quarter hour and rode that to a 2-1 Gold Cup semifinal win. So congrats to Rubin and Guatemala for a tremendous run in the tournament. Historic run. One well narrated by Tyler Terrence, who former partner in crime of ours. One of the more honest lads you run into.
Now you're stretching the truth.
Yellow card to Myers. Elevated arm.
Robbins racing. Hands a little high for sure. I actually feel like the better team in the second half, though. The overall chances have come from the Charleston battery. Not that they've been aplenty, but the ability for a team to grow within a match, to me, is suited the Birmingham Legion. This is a very different squad than what we saw in the first half. Physically, more demanding of themselves, more successful. Spacing, close down quicker. I think the key question for me is if they're going to be able to stay with the new horses that I come on the field, and specifically Jeremy Kelly, the intangibles that he brings. Another turnover, though. They have not worked very clean through the midfield.
Wow, Thomas played that pretty well.
And this is one of the areas that you are going to struggle with when the game slows down. Under Mark Briggs, Birmingham Legion much more organized defensively. When the field gets compressed, it's become near impossible outside of large changes or one-on-one breakdowns to be able to get in behind.
Torres, that off the fingertips. Van Okel, just enough. The heel of Kelly. Vita came forward. Pasher ricochets back. And Birmingham control. To Van Okel. He's chasing history tonight as well. Can get his 50th shutout in the championship. Into a tie for third all time. Luckily, he's just a spectator at this moment. Birmingham into the attacking half. Pasher available high. He's hit some scorchers. Got away from Trejo. We do have an update on who these wonderful Welsh folks are, who are now clearly both imbibed and enjoying the Birmingham heat. The World Police and Fire Games are ongoing. There's still another 4 days remaining here in Birmingham. And these are Welsh firemen.
Knew it all along, Mike. How's that for a good little step?
Vita lays off. Pasher. And Birmingham started the fire. Now they're trying to cash in.
I give Fanuel Kavita a lot of credit here because Cal Jennings dropping down in just in front of the center circle could spell disaster. Not the best of flicks, but well done to just stay with the initial dedication to complete that job. Physically can be demanding, but clean on the ball moving forward, and nearly breaks the deadlock.
Can Birmingham find the moment? In swinger, Thomas went soaring for it. Lasso drops it down. Circumvents the half field. Mensah. Trejo. And these are moments, right? You talk to Mark Briggs, he goes, in Sacramento, there were winners, right? Russell Cicerone, Rodrigo Lopez, he went ticking down the roster. These are guys late in games who put the team on their back and provided the moment. Who's going to do that for Birmingham? Tonight's a big opportunity for someone to stand up and be counted.
To your point, I don't think we've seen that from really anyone just yet. Not in the Mark Briggs era, anyway. You know, certainly names like a Fanuel Kavita and Alex Cronali, Mikey Lopez, another one that comes to mind. The idea that no matter what, they would try and find a way to get a result. That's the type of identity he's trying to instill in this group. And with just inside 12 minutes to go within this match, they have that chance against the #2 team in the league right now, trying to chase down Louisville City, maintain pace. They've been much better here in the second half. Still haven't exactly produced a ton, though, going forward.
We spoke to Ben Pierman this week, said, how much are you watching the title race? He said, well, I'm always looking at FOTMOB. It's a lot easier after a win. This is the only game in the championship tonight. Don't think there aren't 22 coaches and several hundred-odd players watching this right now. A chance to make a statement this evening. Blackstock curling. Wayward header. That will skip out of play. Preston Tabor Itaka came in for Moses Mensah, and that is in no way like for like. That is Birmingham pushing some chips.
I would imagine with the idea behind it that there is a chance that you could rotate Drake Arthur to the other side. Definitely play higher. I think the identity here is going to be what is the overall shape that you're trying to chase, just to make sure that defensively you're eliminating any threat coming your direction from those players up high.
Tabor Itaka, by the way, in the Jägermeister Cup game, came off the bench for Birmingham over the weekend, scored at 90+4 to equalize against Indy. Although Birmingham ultimately lost the shootout, it does keep them alive to try and win the group. Last day of that intra-league cup competition. This, of course, a regular season game, and that, of course, a foul on Dos Santos. And he was smart to make sure he was outside the penalty area before he upended Preston.
Well, interestingly enough, the first ball came out of Tyler Pasher, who Briggs has decided to drop deep, and he can ping a pretty nice ball. You move him away from being an overall goal threat, though he hasn't necessarily produced in that area tonight, and the speed and willingness to just go and chase the game is certainly you'll get out of Preston if you bring him into the game, immediately making an impact. I wonder, with the tired legs on the road, the mental fatigue that comes along with it. We've referenced the fixture congestion, the Charleston battery, as many other teams are going through it right now. They're in a stretch of 9 games in 28 days. Could you catch someone sleeping? Now, Juan David Torres is on the field, and I get that. But to bring him high, move him out, and play across the top of the 18 is an idea.
Pasher right into the mixer. Too much traffic. He's going to go against Dos Santos. He's going to get a yellow here, which makes him doubly grateful he didn't get one on the last tackle.
It's a mistake overall because the ball that's played in, you just don't need to foul in this situation. Pretty much in a lose-lose, Mike. The idea that you're going to come up over the shoulder against a non-rushing attacker and be able to get away with that, probably not going to happen, number one. Number two, if he doesn't go down, he's around you. And then he's in behind, and you've really put your team at risk. Instead, still a semi-decent opportunity from this angle, though not the greatest of service last time in.
This free kick is brought to you by Pregame.
Free kick lobbed across, steered onto Lazo. Roof. Tabor Itaka settles, makes the move. High to Trejo. Snaps it back into the grasp of Zamudio. Birmingham does not have a single shot on target in this game. And yet, probing for it now, Trejo. Tabor Itaka. Is that for Landry or for someone else?
Either way, he just politely asked him to be quiet. I know that for a fact.
May have been for us.
Number one fan.
Yeah. Second window coming for Charleston. Mark Segbers in for Graham Smith, who's coming back from injury. I said 90-minute fit, but it's been a grueling 85. Flick through, Segbers fresh into the game. Segbers rolled that across. He came from an offside position to take the ball, though.
Just be aware here if Birmingham Legion quickly making an eye to go quite rapidly at the back line here. You're going to get some movement. Nito Santos will come to the inside, you would imagine. Apanonu slides over, and Segbers will become that outside back. The reason I say it, Mike, is although it's one change, it affects 3 different positions on that back line for the majority of this match that has had pretty good communication. More space has been made available here in the second half for sure. But change in personnel, change in identity, and the rhythm could quickly be disrupted.
Tabor Itaka. Birmingham have lost 5 straight games against this Charleston side, dating just over 2 years. Charleston 8 goals scored in that span. They've allowed just 2. Trying to get the better of Birmingham again. This is Jeremy Kelly. New acquisition in from Crawley Town. As opposed to Crawley City and Crawley Village, I'm sure. Crawley County. 3 minutes and stoppage remain. Kelly. Pitchforks ahead, snap back. Laced it frame, went for that short stick. That is save 6 for Matt Van Okel. trying to protect his 50th championship clean sheet.
This is the biggest difference that you get out of Aaron Malloy than you do at Emilia Icaza. Now, he is more attack-minded, Emilia Icaza, on a regular basis, but the flair for the dramatics, the way that Aaron Malloy can in an instant change a game, either by his distribution, one of the best visionaries in all the league, or his opportunities from distance.
Corner met by Tabor Itaka, settled, Landry. Well, now Charleston throwing their final flurry of punches. Jennings trying to push that along. It was stymied by Myers. Malloy over to Torres. Torres lofting. Kelly. That's all he could manage there. Eric Centennial awaits to enter. We'll get in now. He turned 23 years old on Sunday, so happy belated. Got his first academy deal in the championship with Mark Briggs in Sacramento. From there to FC Dallas after a short stint at Pacific, was the West Coast Conference Rookie of the Year. 3 years in Atlanta. 5th appearance for the club. And that's it, sub-wise for Birmingham. There's a lot of time left. Torres, Enzo Martinez won't get that call. Both sides appear worse for the wear. 4 added minutes.
Battery have picked it up here. Tempo much quicker over the past 2 or 3 minutes.
They thought this game would open up late once the sun set and the heat dissipated. Blackstock for Kelly. Birmingham will go to Rhode Island, who have similarly struggled this year, then North Carolina. Their next home game doesn't come until July 19th against Colorado Springs.
4 minutes will be added in the second half.
Trying to leave the right feeling of this beleaguered crowd. Done by Landry. Briefly negate the pressure. Pasher. Thiago. Trejo ahead. Pasher. Pasher crafts, drops, Tabor Itaka. Apadonu was in the way. Ultimately, Zamudio claims it.
There's 2 schools of thought right now defensively for the Battery. Number 1, up high, MD Myers and Cal Jennings are absolutely gassed, so it's opening up quick chances of space. The good news for Ben Pierman, though, is that they're taking the bait. Structurally, quite sound, keeping the game in front of them, and yeah, it's a chance for sure, but it is still 20 yards out. It is still in a crowded area that at the end of the day really doesn't bother Luis Zamudio.
It's their first shot on target. Segbers tried to think thin thoughts. Couldn't slip through. Does stymie the counter. This would pull Charleston a point closer to Louisville, but elapses their game in hand, 2 points off the lead in the East. So they'll hit the midway point at the final whistle, if they can hold on to the point. Pasher. Damas turns. Landry intervenes. Room to run here. Myers. Damas got back into the picture. Lazo. Spots the width from Centennial. Jeremy Kelly. Kept in by Torres. Is there one chance here? Torres. Tibor Itaka. Crowd willing them forward, and it's a heavy touch. Myers shoved off by Thiago, and that should just about do it. Well, it's a valuable point for Birmingham against the second-place team in the championship. It is a 0-0 draw on this Wednesday night. Mark Briggs' side failed to get the marquee win they were looking for, but indeed a key point as they climb a little bit closer to the playoff line. And Charleston goes on the road, moves within 2 points of the Shield.
A balancing cup competition, midweek fixtures, and USL Championship play. Both managers got to be disappointed, Mike, that they drop points. But if you're Mark Briggs of the Birmingham Legion, you just kept arguably the best attacking team in the league, certainly top two, at bay. Didn't let them create a lot, certainly didn't let them hit the back of the net, but they are going to have to continue the ideas on the attacking front. Charleston Battery, take the point and move on. Difficult travel, you've got the midweek. Again, 9 games in 18 days. You still get a valuable point on the road in the Eastern Conference.
So Birmingham heads to Rhode Island on the weekend. Charleston will host North Carolina. The Welsh, I mean, they didn't get a goal, they got everything else. The USL on CBS Sports is presented by Best Western. We'll wrap it up after this. This is the dichotomy of coaching in the USL Championship. Ben Pierman airs his final grievances with Matt Thompson and the officials. Meanwhile, the Wells firemen who are here trying to exchange jerseys, Mark Briggs having a good old time. He will not be giving away his shirt. He was asked. All right, here we go. All the highlight fit for the post-game extra here. Here we go.
Well, the whole idea coming into the night for the Birmingham Legion was, could you stay tight-knit defensively, not allow chances to open up on the other end? Well, from minute 20 until about minute 55, the answer was no. They did concede chances. The good news was, as Matt Van Olkel was up to the task, a couple of saves tonight, quickly off his line, and most importantly, you did not allow Cal Jennings to sniff goal. So most everything you had to deal with on the night was from a distance. He was super clean in decision-making, he kept the team in front of him organized, and he limited their overall quality of chance. The problem that you ran into, Mike, is Birmingham Legion did not have a shot attempt on goal in this game. They played the majority of it on their heels. They kept the game in front of them, what was good. But this is both about balance. Balance for Mark Briggs in trying to find a way to supplement the efforts on one end that did not show up tonight attacking-wise, and balance for Ben Pierman and the Charleston battery, where everything once again felt like it ran through the right flank until Jeremy Kelly came on, and that was the saving grace for me. I thought Jeremy Kelly added a nice spark to this team. They lost control of the midfield a little bit, but were much more threatening on both sides of the field, right and left, respectively.
On ad for the battery moving forward, Birmingham didn't have a shot on target until the second minute of second half stoppage time. Join us again on Friday. We've got a huge matchup, the title winner and the Shield winner, Louisville City and Colorado Springs. It's the U.S. Poker Open coming your way next. For Devin Kerr and our entire crew, Mike Watts saying this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Finishes 0-0. Good night.